Hey guys, before we get into this video, I want to recommend that everybody be listening on either headphones, earbuds, or a pair of large speakers. This video deals with bass guitar, and there's certain sections that I play you might not be able to hear anything if you don't have the right system. Let's get into it.
What's up, it's Nick Monty. In this video I'm going to show you a neat little trick that I've been using for years to get bass guitar to sit just right in the mix. This trick is splitting the bass guitar into a low and a high track and then processing each individually. This gives you more control over each individual frequency band. So let's get right into this. I'm going to show you the bass guitar just as it was recorded with zero processing, and this is before we split it into two. Here we go. As you can hear, it's a very driving bass track and it's a very integral part of the song. So I want to make sure there's a good consistent amount of low end, but I also want to make sure that that high end articulation is there in the song as well. So hence the split. So let's dive right into it. I'll show you the low end track first and what we're doing processing wise. So here we have a low pass filter set at 200 Hertz so that everything above that is being cut out. And then after that, we got a little bit of compression to level out the sound and make that low end more consistent. Now, I set the frequency at 200, and you can play around with this number because sometimes I set it lower. I rarely go higher than 200 on a low bass track, but if I were to set it lower, you would lose a little bit of the warmth and it would just sound a little subbier. Let me show you what that would sound like. So as you can hear there, when I changed the frequency from 120 back to 200, you should have heard a little warmth come back into that track. Now with the high track, I'm doing basically the opposite. We're high passing at 200, and then we also have a low pass here at 7K, and the reason for that is because everything above 7K is basically going to be useless in a bass guitar, and all it's going to do is fight with things that need to be in the high end part of the mix. So things like cymbals, the high end of a guitar, the high end of a vocal, it's just going to compete with those elements, so it's better to just filter it out. And this is why filtering is one of the most foundational parts of mixing, because clearing out things that you don't need in a track helps make room for other things that do need to be in that frequency area, and that's a good start to any mix. So that's why I'm high passing it there. Other than that, I'm cutting a little bit of low mids out, and then I'm cutting this mid place and in this high mid place, and I'm cutting low mids out because it just takes out a little bit of the mud, and then these other two cuts are really just to give a little bit more room for the articulation in the kick drum because I felt they were fighting a little bit. And once again, after the EQ here, I have some compression to level out the sound, and then I just added a little bit of punchiness back to this one so it didn't sound so thin. So let me show you this track on its own. So there you can see it just sounds like it's gotten all the weight and low end cut out of it. Now let me show you what happens when we take these two and put them together. And now you have a complete image of the bass. So next here, what I'm going to do is show you how I would mix this into a track. And the way that I typically go about mixing is I will start out with the drums and then bring the bass into the drums. And that's what I'm going to do here. So we'll start with the drums, and I'll bring these bass tracks all the way down, and I'll start bringing up the low end track. So here we go. Okay, cool. Now, one big thing in particular that I'm looking for here is the interplay between the kick and the bass. So I want to make sure that those two are essentially playing nice with one another and one isn't dominating the other one. And so you should hear a good amount of low end from the bass, and it shouldn't be masking the kick in any way. They should be kind of combining to create a greater force. And now that I have a nice amount of low end here, we get to turn up the high end without worrying about where the low end is because we got that just perfect. So let's do that here. Okay, cool. So there you have it. Now we have both the frequency ranges of the bass completely dialed in, and we can adjust one of them without worrying about it affecting the other. And this is why I like this technique so much, because it really just makes mixing a lot easier for me. So if you like this video, give it a like, leave a comment below, and I will see you in the next one.